Well, the whole story came from a nightmare I had. I watched The Ring, and I did what you're not supposed to do, which is take a nap. And I had this nightmare about going into my attic and finding a box of Super 8mm films and spooling one with the projector. And what I saw was the opening shot of this movie.
The original concept for Sinister, for example, was the first time I pitched the idea to my wife.
Laugh, Cameron. And look at him. Cut.
She said, "Ugh, why would anyone want to make a movie like that?" Found footage movies have little or no score, usually no score. There's a voyeuristic quality in them that is a different kind of fear, because it's almost like the fear of, I shouldn't be watching this.
There's a whole period of the film where the movie gets really quiet.
And every single night, I would just wake up, my eyes would pop open like a bell had woke, and as soon as I would wake up, I'd be wide awake, and I'd think, I'm gonna look over at the clock, and it's gonna say 3:00. And I would look over, and it wouldn't be 3:01, it wouldn't be 2:59, it would be 3:00. And I started doing that every single night for about 2 weeks, every night. And it really started to freak me out. And then I would lay there awake, and I would hear sounds in the house, so I'd get up and I'd look around.
The character that we wrote is pretty flawed.
But don't blame me for not telling you, okay? Because remember, you never wanted to know.
Don't try and pin this on me! I asked you if you were living near the house, and you said no!
You asked me if we were living 2 houses down. He's a writer who's really lost his way. He's somebody who had a tremendous amount of success when he was younger and is kind of looking to find that heat of the spotlight again.
Grisly content. Fame and money? No, I'm just kidding. The honest answer is that I'm really driven by a sense of injustice.
He's a selfish little punk, you know, and so when it came time to make the movie, I thought, you know, who can I cast in this role and the audience won't turn on the guy? Who can play such a flawed guy and have the audience not just hate him? And I thought, you know, Ethan Hawke. People will stay with him. If it's played by Ethan, I knew if Ethan did it.
So I really challenged myself to just kind of commit to playing fear.
My writing partner, Cargill, saw the movie The Ring and had a night. He did what you're not supposed to do, which is he came home from seeing The Ring and then took a nap, which is true story. And he had a nightmare. About going up into his attic and finding a box of films and watching the first film, and it was the opening scene from this movie. And I said, why don't you just go away this afternoon and see how many ways you can think of killing people, and just send me back a long list. And he did it, and he took like 6 or 7 hours and sent me back a list of 35 horrible ideas. I took some of the ones that I liked the most, and then we sort of split those up and started working on them, and they seem to be the things that connect the most with the audience in terms of what's disturbing about the movie, you know, and what's deeply unsettling and deeply frightening about the film. I said, what I know I don't want is the typical 2-story scary house. I mean, every scary house I've ever seen and every haunted house movie has a house that looks like it's gonna be haunted. I want a flat ranch-style, single-level house with an attic.
It's gonna be good here, right? You'll see.
To give it a larger feel is to have some long throw. Visual dynamic made them keep looking around in the background, looking for something's going to happen back there. Something's going to pop out, you know, because they're seeing a lot of space in there, as well as a lot of darkness. It feels creepy, but there's a hallway and there's a room down there, and that visual dynamic in a story like this creates an extra level of tension if you shoot it right.
I think some part of me was like a little superstitious that like if I play that stuff, I might open the door to the demons of my own mind.
You can have everything else you want. If it's not scary, you totally failed.
Yeah.
There's definitely some big jump scares in it, but they're earned. I like a good jump scare as long as it's not a false scare or a cheap scare.
So how'd you come up with Ethan though?
I like this. Let him go soft.
Well, at first he was a little hesitant because he'd never done, this deep of genre before. He'd done, a horror action film, but it wasn't quite the same. And very early on, he really caught what it was and really got it. And when he looked at it, he just looked at it as a character piece. And that's how we had written it.
Ethan Hawke. People stay with him. If it's played by Ethan, I knew if Ethan did it, that you'd know he was a bad guy and a guy with a lot of flaws, but you'd stay with him, you'd stay interested in it. You might even root for him to get his stuff together, And so I emailed Jason Blum, the producer, and I said, I think Ethan Hawke is the right guy to play this role. Do you have any connections to him, or do you know his agent? And the email came back, he's my best friend, and his children are my godchildren.
And he wants it to be a drama about a guy winning the Pulitzer.
That's what he wants. That's it. And there's these other things that are scaring him, but the thing that scares him the most is I gotta succeed. I gotta succeed.
The guy that is the guy that we're afraid of becoming, and showing how he could become that guy.
Bagul eats children. He consumes their souls over time.
Scott's challenge to me was, how many different kinds of fear can you show me?
What's disturbing about the movie, and what's deeply unsettling and deeply frightening about the film.
And your use of Super 8 and these movies, they're so cinematic in a way that a lot of the other found footages aren't. When you first showed them to me, I got so excited about the movie just because I could really, for the first time, see the movie in your head. And there's kind of an elegiac quality to them that the other found footage movies don't have.
Working with Scott Derrickson.
Every now and then you work with somebody who really is clearly a filmmaker. And he really is. And I don't know what that means exactly. It's kind of like he just has a voice with the camera. He knows what he wants. And it's so easy. When you're working with people who are really talented, everything becomes super easy. And there was a simplicity to this whole movie from the get-go. The script always worked. Sometimes you start a movie and the script just doesn't work. Everybody knows it.
Right.
But you're hoping the good parts outweigh the bad parts, and if we could just fix that, maybe it would be fine. But the script was always super smart, and I loved my character, and this guy knew exactly how he was going to build these scares, and so it was fun.
You're Mr. Boogie, Bagul, it's many names that keeps on going through there. But it's different for you as an actual person.
The character of Bagul is really cool to look at and visually really fucking scary.
Is a movie that exists in a kind of spiritual vacuum. It doesn't end well at all. There's really very little light shining through anybody or anything. My own moral thought and feeling and behavior, I never would have written that movie. But it just happened to coalesce with a story that I felt needed to exist in a godless universe.
Don't worry, Daddy. I'll make you famous again.
Bagul is really cool to look at and visually really fucking scary.
It's not scary, you totally failed.